Hi friends, Christy here over at Crafty Christy's Creations, and today I'm going to walk you through adding a shadow to your design so that you can use it for heat transfer vinyl for added dimension. So let's jump on in and get started. Okay, so here we are in Silhouette Studio, and I've already got my design up here. And this is what we're going to be using, working on myself, by myself, for myself. And I just want to show you what it looks like. This is with the shadow effect, and you can see it really makes that green color pop, gives it a little shadow for some added dimension. So let's jump back over here and let's get started. So I'm going to start off by sizing these to the correct size. We're putting this on an adult shirt. Want to use the lock ratio aspect. We're going to make this 9.5 inches wide. Whoops. Let's go ahead and undo that, Control Z, and let's group the entire design and then try that again with the aspect ratio still locked. Let's try that 9.5 inches at the width, and this time we've got it. So we can get that centered up there. And now let's go ahead and we want to ungroup our design, so Shift, Control, and G. And now we've got the working and myself as one group, and then on, by, and for is another group. So now, in case you're wondering about all of these different keyboard shortcuts, head on over to craftychristyscreations.com/silhouette shortcuts to grab your copy so you can keep them sitting next to you when you're designing. That'll make things go a lot faster. So now let's jump back in here. So now I've got myself and working as one group, and then on, by, and for is its own group. So I'm going to change the colors around. I'm going to go with this greenish color, and then I'm going to use black for the other words. And with that, now we're going to grab this one, and we're going to make a copy of it. So we can go we can just kind of click and drag a copy that way, or we can go up and we're going to change that line color here. We're going to change the fill to black, and then also our line color to black, and then we're going to give that a 5-point value. And then this will be our shadow. You can see it's much thicker there. So now we can go ahead and slide that back up, and then I've got that right in the correct place right there. And now I'm going to come up to the top and send that to the back. And now you can see right where it's going to be. So that's what that's going to look like. So here we could add some registration marks, and you can just cut those out. But I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to go ahead and let's put that back, and let's grab that green layer and pull that one down. There we go. And now all of the black I'm going to select, and I'm going to group that together. Control G. And then the other one is already grouped. So now what we can do with these grouped, I'm going to go ahead and ungroup these, and it didn't work, so I need to release the compound path. And just the way that the file was made, that is what needs to be done to kind of get these into their own piece. You can see when you do that, it fills in the O and the G. So make sure you grab the little dot of the I. And now I'm going to make that its own compound path. And I'm going to do the same thing with myself. So rubber band select, right click, make compound path. Okay, so now there you can see that big box goes around each of those words, so now they're individualized. This one you can see is a little bit bigger. I'm going to pull these down by themselves because I am going to be layering on top of it. I can eyeball it, so I don't need to use registration marks, but you certainly could to make sure everything gets in the right place. Now with these two, I'm going to go ahead and group them, and I'm going to group all of this together. And now, I did not mean to do that. Let's turn that back to black. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and come over here to our mirror. and we're going to mirror to the right. Again, we're making this out of heat transfer vinyl, and that is why we need to mirror our design. And now we can come in here and we can get rid of that one and get rid of this one. And now we can pull these back over onto our mat. And using the background on the mat, I can use that to determine where I can lay my vinyl so that I can cut all of this out in one pass. So I'm going to turn down that transparency. I'm going to turn up the transparency so I can really see through. And then I can move things over, and now you can use those numbers on the grid there to tell you how much vinyl you need to cut for each of those so we can do it all together. So I'm going to scoot these up and over a little bit to try to use the least amount as possible. And I'm just going to try to kind of line those up and give myself a good landmark. So the green is kind of at the 8 and the 8 on both sides. And let's scoot this one over. Okay, and now it looks like we're at the 10-inch mark, and then it comes down here, I believe that's a 6. So now we know how much vinyl we need to cut to put that onto our mat. And then a little thing to add here when we go to our send panel, if you need separate cut settings, go ahead and use that no cut button, and that way you can select one object and then cut it, and then select the other and cut it. But I'm going to go ahead and do all of them, and I like to use the heat transfer flocked setting. So I'm going to go ahead and get that all set up, and then I can get my machine plugged in, and we can get this cutting out. Okay, so I've got my mat here. Let's go ahead and peel that off. And then for my colors, I've got my black, I've got my sheet of black here, and then I've got my roll of this kind of tealish green, seafoam green color. So now with this one, like I said, we were going to cut, so 10 wide. So I know I need to go this direction, and then it's going to come down to 6. So 10 down to the 6. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. So I just need to come down to 6 this direction. And I'll just try to cut this in a straight line here. And I'm okay, I'm just gonna leave it at 12 inches wide, and then I'll just have extra. I can cut that off later after I weed it. And then I wanna make sure that the carrier sheet is what's going down first. So the shiny side goes down. You don't wanna cut through the carrier sheet. So I'm putting this at the top of my mat. Okay, and then at the bottom, let's see, we're going from 8, we're starting at our 8 spot, 8 inches here, and then we're going over to 11, 10, 9, and this is going to be an 8 by 8, so 8 here, 8 here, so it's just going to cover this area down here. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this on here again, carrier side down. I'm okay if it's a little wider than that. And so I'm just going to cut 8 to 12. 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 inches. So that's about right there. And again, I will just use, when I'm done, I will trim off the, how it's wider than it needs to be. I can trim that and save that after we're done cutting. Again, carrier sheet down. I'm gonna stick that at my 8. And I did not cut a very straight line. That's better. Okay, so this is how my mat is set up, so I can cut both of them at the same time. I'm gonna go ahead and plug in my machine. I've left everything mirrored on my screen. Let's go ahead and get my Cameo set up. And I need a blade of 3. Take this one out of here. All right, and I'm gonna get this loaded in and we'll get it cutting. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit the send button. And it asks me, do I want to send it mirrored or send as is? We've already mirrored the design, so I'm gonna hit send as is. And then it's gonna go ahead and start cutting our design. All right, it's all done cutting. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the unload button. All right, we'll put our machine off to the side. I can unplug it from my computer. I know a lot of people like to weed their design while it's still on the mat, but I've got a lot of extra space on here that I want to cut off. So I'm going to go ahead and peel these off my mat. Oops. And that one cut all the way through. Let's see about this one. Can I peel this off my mat? Yes, I can. Okay, so this one I can peel off my mat, and I can go ahead and cut it down to size a little bit more. I can still see where I've got some extra vinyl, and I can use these when I'm making more earring designs, or if I have some small things that I want to put heat transfer vinyl on, I can use these small scraps of vinyl, so I like to keep them. Okay, so there are my scraps on that one. And then this one, like I said, cut all the way through. So I am just going to go ahead and just weed this design. I'll just peel everything up. It'll still work. It just makes a little more work for us. This is why it's really important to do cut tests. And I did not do that for this. This seafoam green color is scissor vinyl, and I have not worked with it a lot, so I have not done any test cuts on it yet. And clearly, the settings I'm using are too strong for this vinyl. That's why it cut straight through it. Again, I'm going to save that little chunk there. So on this one, my design is on here. I'm going to go ahead and finish weeding it out. I'm just gonna get the centers of the E. I've got this little tool here. This is from the dollar store, holds your nail polish. I can use that to kind of put all my little scraps into. Not too many scraps. Okay, I've got all the scraps out of that one. This we can get rid of. And then I can go ahead and weed out this design really quick. And then we'll go ahead and get them put on our t-shirt. Okay, we're over here at my heat press station. I've got this gray tank top here. And between the scissor and the other heat transfer vinyl I'm using, I've got my heat press on here, and I am set at 320 degrees. and we're gonna do 15 seconds. So first I'm gonna go ahead and preheat, and I'm just gonna go ahead and hit the button here. We're gonna preheat for about 15 seconds. I'm gonna try to hit the entire design here. Heat up the entire shirt. That is recommended for both types of transfer vinyl, say to go ahead and preheat. And I'm just gonna try to preheat the entire thing, kind of up and down a little bit. Okay, that should be good. Just gonna feel that, feels good and hot. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with my lint roller one more time. And then for my adult shirt, I want to go about 3 inches from the top. So I've got my little measure here from the seam. So I want to go about 3 inches there. So I can kind of lay this on here and decide where that's going to be. That's about where I want the top of my design. We'll try that. And I'm just looking to make sure that I think that looks centered. Some people like to fold their shirt in half to find the center that direction. I think I'm just gonna scoot this over a little bit. And then I just want to check where my 3 inches are again. And I'm looking at my 3 inch mark here, and I'm looking over here. I'm a little bit high. I'm okay with that because a lot of the design is further down. So I'm gonna leave it right there. I've got my covering cloth I'm gonna press. I'm gonna stick this on here really well. I'm gonna open this up and just do the one layer of this over top. And again, we're gonna hit for 15 seconds. I'm gonna have to hit this entire design. We'll hit the green button. And then I'm gonna go ahead and have to move everything. So I'll do 15 seconds over here, and then we'll move it over and do 15 seconds in the other area, making sure I get the entire design. And there's the beep. We'll go ahead and lift and scoot over and do another 15 seconds. Okay, now let's check our design. And this one is supposed to be a warm peel. And that is looking wonderful. The Y here didn't quite take very well. But I am adding another layer to this, so I know there's going to be more heat added. So I'm just going to leave it be. Looks like I've kinked it a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and try to lift that back up. Just see if I can get the fold out of there. Just looking for, let me get my tool. Okay, so I'm just going to come in here with my little tool, see if I can unfold this little piece here. There. Now it's unfolded. I've got it stuck back down. I'm just going to keep an eye on it. That is the only spot that doesn't seem to have stuck down very well. Now for the fun part, because I've cut these individually, we're going to go ahead and peel them up individually and just stick them down where we want them. This is a little bit more labor intensive, but I'm not going to waste my vinyl. And the other thing is, because I don't have extra of the carrier sheet on there, doesn't really have anything to stick to it to hold it down. So this is going to get a little bit tricky. But if I like it right about there, I just want a little bit of black showing off to the side. And we may have to see, I don't have any heat sensitive tape that I can put down. So you might just have to train it here a minute. And I'm hoping that that little bit of heat that is left from that warm peel will hold that in place. Like I said, this is going to be a bit labor intensive. And I'm just kind of eyeballing these. And that one doesn't want to stick down too much. Because now my shirt's no longer warm. There we go. So again, I'm putting a little bit off center to the right, trying to make them all the same. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to peel all the letters off. My K broke. We'll just do one word at a time, peeling it off. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit the W with some heat, get that one pressed on there. That'll add some extra heat to this so that way I have some more to work with. And I think I'm going to pull this over just a little bit more. Okay, I'm just going to cover that word, and we will hit it again with that 15 seconds. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna leave the carrier sheet on there since I have to do these other words. That's just going to give it some extra protection, and then when I'm all done, I can go ahead and peel those off. Now that my shirt is hot, these are going to stick a lot easier. Like I said, my K broke apart, but that's okay. We'll get this figured out. Trying to just match up so the heights are the same. Since the size is really not much different, the height should still be about the same. All right, these are not laying nicely. So I'll take those off. This needs to move over a little bit more. All right, we'll go ahead and cover that. Move these out of the way. Again, hitting that with another 15 seconds. And you can see I'm trying not to cover too much of my design with the heat. The more you add heat to it, you do risk burning the vinyl. So I'm trying to be mindful of that, not hitting the entire design every time. Just the area that I'm working on. Okay, so now we can finish up this one. Try to lay these down quickly while it's hot, they'll stick, which is also why they recommend preheating. Okay, that looks good. All right, let's go ahead and hit this. Get all those stuck on there. Again, another 15 seconds. I'm not using a ton of firm pressure. We're not sticking down too much, and it just needs to stick on there. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and leave that. Let's go ahead and hit this area over here. Again, we're just gonna preheat it for 15 seconds, and before I do that, let me go ahead and just peel all my letters off of the mat. So that way I am ready to start laying these letters down while everything is hot. Hopefully I can get them all on in one go. And obviously if I hadn't cut through the carrier sheet, this would have been a lot easier and I could have just gotten both of these done in one go. Okay. All right, so I've got those ready. Let's go ahead and hit this side over here. And again, I'm gonna get a little bit on that center, thinking about the Y, the black Y that also needed a little bit more heat to really melt that into place. Okay, there's my 15 seconds to just give it some heat on there, and now let's get these stuck down. This M might be a little bit too far over. But the heat has already stuck it down, so it's gonna have to stay there. We can try to peel it up very carefully. No, that little bit of heat has already stuck that one on there, so that one's gonna have to stay. Okay, we've got all those letters on. Let's move this E over a little bit. And my heat is starting to dissipate. All right, that looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and cover that up again. And we're gonna hit that with another 15 seconds. Okay. And even that Y looks a lot better there. Okay, so now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to try to lift off my carrier sheets. I'm going to try and this is a little bit warm over here as well. So these are, I believe they're supposed to be a warm peel. And I got a little piece of hair in there. String. Got that out. Okay. So this is the hard part now, to come back and find that carrier sheet and try to peel that off. Okay, so I'm going to go through and peel all of these off, and then I will show you the finished product. So what do you think? Here is the t-shirt design all completed with that lovely black shadow behind it. You saw how quick and easy that was to make. Again, double check your cut settings, do a test before you use new material so you don't end up spending more time than you need to placing your vinyl in the correct spot. So that is how you can do a quick shadow on a heat transfer vinyl design. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, click like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future Silhouette Studio tutorials. Until next time, with love, Crafty Christy.